Hello everybody, my name is Kwek Kwek, that is Kwek twice, and today I'll be drawing Cookie Run characters in my style. Something that I've noticed while browsing Cookie Run fan art online is that a lot of fan artists tend to draw the cookies as more human-like characters. Sometimes people even add their own personal touches to the original cookie designs to make their human versions look a bit more detailed and interesting. I thought I could try my hand at making some of my own designs. First cookie for today is Devil Cookie. I'm not sure if I'm the only person who thinks this, but the original Devil Cookie design looks kind of naked? I don't know. They look like they have no clothes on. I mean, they do have a hat and what I think are supposed to be a pair of shoes, but that's about it. I feel like these are incredibly questionable fashion choices. Like if you're going to wear a hat and a pair of shoes, you might as well cover the rest of your body. Why just the head? Why just the feet? You gotta commit. I had to figure out a way to draw my non-cookie devil cookie the way they are without turning them into a weird naked red person. I guess what I could have done is turned them into someone wearing a devil-themed onesie, like a Halloween costume, just to keep their solid red body without having them be completely naked. But I did not do that. Goat! I turned devil cookie into a goat. It's not really a human version because goats aren't human, that's a given. But I felt like it could work since that way I can turn their white shoe things into hooves. And I can cover them in red fur, that way they can be naked without it being weird because it's socially acceptable for goats to be naked. They're allowed to do that. I also kind of based this design on how goats in Christianity and also pop culture are associated with the devil in some way. But I don't really see Devil Cookie as an ancient force of evil like the actual devil. I think they're just a mischievous little gremlin. I thought that a cuter and more childish appearance could help push that idea, so I based their design on a baby goat. I also thought it would look pretty cute if they had these long floppy ears that would stick out of their hat because they were too big to fit. Overall, my final devil cookie design just ended up looking like regular devil cookie but as a goat. It's a pretty simple and straightforward redesign, but I think it looks pretty decent. Up next, we have Angel Cookie. I've always seen Angel Cookie and Devil Cookie as a duo of some sorts, with them being polar opposites and all that, Angel and Devil. It felt wrong for me to give Angel Cookie a more human-like design that looked more traditionally angelic, while Devil Cookie was just a goat. I wanted them to look somewhat cohesive together and go well as a pair, so I turned Angel Cookie into a sheep this time. I noticed how since Angel Cookie's original design looks so simple, there's not really any detail on their robe/dress. They don't have any lines to separate their clothes from the rest of their body. It's not even colored with frosting, so it's essentially the same color as their dough, which is weird because dough for Cookie Run characters is pretty much the equivalent of skin for people, so it kind of looks like the robe is also skin, which is disgusting. So what I decided to do for my angel cookie design is instead of giving them an actual robe, I would just make the wool their robe. I made their wool coat a bit longer and shaped it in a way that it looks a bit like a dress. I did the same thing for the wool on their arms to make them look a bit like sleeves. Since my sheep version of Angel Cookie already has white wool, I decided to replace the white frosting pattern from their original design with gold jewelry that will be clipped onto their wool. Just like Devil Cookie, I feel like this design also ended up being really simple. It's just Angel Cookie as a sheep. They both ended up looking so simple that I decided to draw them together on the same page. I thought that I could make up for the simplicity of their designs by at least posing them in an interesting way, but the final illustration ended up being simple anyway, so oh well. Last but most definitely not the least is Stardust Cookie. I personally really like Stardust Cookie. He's easily one of my favorites from Cookie Run Kingdom. That being said, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to draw him for this video since there's already a lot of beautiful human Stardust Cookie designs out there if you look for them. There was really no way for me to compete, they're all so good. However, there is something that I personally like to do when I draw Stardust Cookie as a human that I haven't really seen anybody else do yet. I like giving him an aquiline nose shape since it makes him have this bird-like side profile which goes well with the bird-like form that he has in game. Also, I just think that hook noses look pretty. I mean, I needed practice drawing more diverse nose shapes anyway, so you can expect to see my Stardust Cookie design have this nose shape by the end of the video. I feel like if you look at Stardust Cookie's in-game sprites, you could either see him as wearing dark clothes underneath his cape or just wearing nothing at all. And I'll admit, I see the latter. It really doesn't help that he does have a handful of costumes in-game where he does look fully clothed. And the funny thing is, I don't really mind that. Maybe it's because I'm already familiar with the concept of just a naked space person. I've seen that design plenty of times before, so I'm a bit used to it. I like to interpret it as the characters resembling the outline of a person that you could see in the night sky. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me. You know what does bother me though? He has shoes on? We've talked about this. If you're going to wear shoes, you might as well cover the rest of yourself. Why would he do that? I don't like that. I didn't want to draw a Stardust Cookie with shoes on, but I had to figure out a way to make the triangular shape on his feet work for my redesign. This brings us to my first draft. While looking at fan art of Stardust Cookie for inspiration, I found one drawing from an artist called Lepa Bolt on Twitter where he had these talons on his fingers, and I thought that looked really cool, so I nabbed that idea and I gave him bird legs. I later found out that I wasn't the first person to give Stardust Cookie bird legs, which I was alright with, but after looking at how simple my last two designs ended up, and how creative all these other people's Stardust Cookie fan designs look, I felt really unhappy with this draft. I thought it was too simple and didn't have very interesting concepts. I felt like the best direction for me to take was to commit to making an almost fully human design. Suddenly, I was struck with the idea to turn him into an eccentric space prince, whatever that means. Probably not the most original idea for a human Stardust Cookie, but it was a good start for me. This leads us to my second draft, not that one. This leads us to my second draft where I decided to blend elements from both his regular form and his bird form. Looks like he's gonna be wearing clothes after all. For this draft, I took a little bit of inspiration from Jinja Ninja's video where they drew their original Magical Girl characters as if they were from other Magical Girl shows. I basically took a look at Nekoru Katsumi and Madoka Hokuto. I saw Katsumi's boots and Hokuto's nail guards and I said, yoink, they're mine now, and I gave him to Stardust. For his cape, I took a bit of inspiration from this Stardust Cookie cosplay by Squeakadeeks. This gave me the idea to cut off the ribbons from Stardust's cape and move them to a sash that's tied around his waist. That way it forms the tail from his bird form. I wanted to do two drawings for Stardust, one full body drawing to show off his outfit and one close-up of his face. I also decided to add a close-up of his hands just to give you guys a better look at his nail guards. Which was a big mistake on my part. I am not good at drawing hands. I even had to take a break from recording just so I could take a photo of my own hand to use as a reference. Maybe it's because of all the Hana-Q that I've been watching recently, but I also went pretty crazy on his hair for this one. I thought that the close-up needed a bit more detail since it's such a big drawing, but I'm not good at drawing hair either, so I kinda just added a bunch of random lines. I definitely need to work on both my hair and hand drawing skills. Just more things to be improved upon in the future. I should really do more studies. I decided to finish this piece digitally since I had a really hard time coloring Stardust Cookie with my markers. I feel like since his skin tone is so dark, it's really hard to keep the details on his face. I also found it tricky to add all of those subtle gradients in his design, so digitally it is. Besides, this was also good practice for me since I got to experiment with different layer modes and brush types that I never really used back when I used to draw digitally. I felt like my Stardust Cookie design looked a little bit plain, so I decided to give him some body chains with charms that resembled the little floating stars and planets from his original design. And now, after an unnecessarily long time drawing this silly little man, here is the final Stardust Cookie design. Thank you all so much for watching. These designs may not be the most groundbreaking designs for these characters, but I think I'm pretty happy with them. Also, I'm sorry for constantly mentioning how naked these characters look to me. I chose these characters specifically because of their minimal clothing detail. I thought it would be a fun exercise to see how I would translate them into my style. Ginger Brave would have been in this video, but I had no ideas for him, so I drew Angel Cookie in his place. If you made it this far into the video, let me know which one you like the best. And also, who's your favorite Cookie Run character? If you're interested, I might just turn them into humans or vaguely human looking things in the next video. And that's all from me, and bye bye now.